This is lesson 3.5a. We are going to be evaluating algebraic expressions. Remember, when we evaluate something, that just means that we're going to be solving it. So let's look at example 1 here. It says Eric collects miniature cars. He has one large case that has 20 cars. He also has 3 same size, smaller cases filled with cars. So if we look at the picture over here, we have one large case filled with cars and then 3 smaller cases filled with cars. We know that the large case holds 20 cars. We don't know how many cars are in those smaller cases, but it says let n equal the number of cars in each smaller case. So our expression is going to have that letter n in it. And now our question, the most important part, says how many miniature cars does Eric have if each smaller case holds 10 cars? So n might equal 10, or 12 cars, n might equal 12, or 14 cars, n might equal 14. So let's look at this bubble over here where they give us our expression. They say 20 plus 3n represents the total number of cars that Eric has. So they're telling us that, okay, his big case holds 20 cars. The smaller case, we don't know how many it holds, but he has 3 of them. So let's open up our notebook to the next blank page. And on the top of your notebook, you should write, this is lesson 3.5a. And when we solve these expressions, it's important for you to copy the expression into your notebook. So this is example 1. You should be writing this in your notebook, just like I'm writing it in the video. And let's copy that expression, 20 plus 3n. That's our expression here. Well, we don't know what n is. A variable can be any unknown amount. But let's look at the word problem over here. The word problem is saying, how many miniature cars does Eric have if each smaller case holds 10 cars? Well, n is the number of cars in each smaller case. So we're going to evaluate this expression and let n equal 10. So you should have this written in your notebook. 20 plus 3n, 3 times n, when n equals 10. So we're going to use that information, n equals 10, and plug it into the expression. So now we have to rewrite the expression. We have 20 plus 3, and instead of writing n, we're going to write 10. But always put whatever's representing that variable in parentheses. So what does it mean right here where we have a number, a coefficient, and a variable right next to each other? What operation is it right here, this 3, and then in the parentheses 10? That is multiplication. A coefficient and a variable is multiplication. So now we have to evaluate this expression. Well, wait a second. We've been evaluating expressions. When we evaluate expressions, we have to follow the order of operations, which is PEMDAS. So we rewrote our expression. We plugged in the variable. Now we're going to evaluate this. Now we're going to solve this. So let's look. Do we have any parentheses here? Well, the parentheses just represents that number in the variable. So nope. Any exponents? Nope. So our next step is going to be multiplication. 3 times n. 3 times n is 30. Cross it off. Bring the rest down. We're not skipping any steps here. So 20 plus 30 is 50. We did our multiplication or division. Last step is that addition or subtraction. So when n equals 10, Eric has 50 cars. Now let's try this again. we're going to see how many cars Eric has when n equals 12. So we're going to follow the same steps. Rewrite that expression, 20 plus 3n, and now n equals 12. So they're telling us what n equals. We're going to take that number and plug it in. Anywhere you see an n, now you're going to be writing 12. So we're going to rewrite this exactly how we see it. You should be rewriting this in your notebook. 20 plus 3 in parentheses 12. That's multiplication there. You could also put a multiplication dot. I'm going to say that we're no longer using multiplication crosses or multiplication x's because you're going to get confused and think that that x is a variable. So here we follow PEMDAS again. It's going to be the same steps as the last time we plugged in because it's the same expression. No parentheses, no exponents. Multiplication or division. Yep. 3 times 12, 36. Cross it off. Bring down the rest. Plus 20. 20 plus 36. Done with multiplication or division. Next step, addition. 56. So when n equals 12, if there are 12 cars in each of those smaller cases, Eric would have 56 cars. Okay, let's try a few practice questions. Let's start with number 9. So it says evaluate each expression for the value given. Your first step is to rewrite the expression in your notebook. So number 9 says z divided by 4. That colon there just means it's not part of the problem. Sometimes you might see it say when, or you'll see that colon. That colon means it's telling you when z equals 824. So take the time to rewrite that in your notebook. Now we're going to use that information and plug it into the problem. So we rewrite it. 824 divided by 4. There's only one step here. There's not even any order of operations. So you plug it into your calculator. 824 divided by 4. What do you get? I got 206. Okay, so sometimes there might even just be a one-step evaluating the expression there. Let's try 12, and then we will try one that's a little bit harder. So 12 in your notebook, right? Number 12, circle it. 9 and 85 hundredths times s. You know what? I'm not even going to write it that way, and neither should you. Instead of using that multiplication x, let's use the multiplication dot. And they're telling us that s equals 4. So let's plug it in. Let's see what you get. So we should rewrite 9.85 times 4. Plug it into your calculator. 39 and 4 tenths. So right there, we only have one step again. Most important part to remember is to plug it in. Sometimes you might also hear us say substitute, right? You know that word from school. If there's a substitute teacher, there's a different teacher than normal, but they're still a teacher. Right now, we're substituting in a value for that letter. So let's now look at number 7. This will be our last question. 7's a little bit tricky here. And this is a little preview of what we will be doing more in the next video. So first step, let's rewrite our expression t squared minus 12w divided by x. So they tell us in this top part, in the directions, it says evaluate each expression for when t equals 8, w equals 1/2, and x equals 3. So I'm just rewriting this information because now I don't have to keep looking back in my workbook. Now I have all the information I need in my notebook. So now let's plug it in. Anywhere I see t, I'm going to write 8. So up, instead of writing t, now I'm writing 8 and bring down the rest of the problem. 8 squared minus, okay, I'm going to write minus 12. Ooh, 12w. What does that mean when there's a coefficient and a variable right next to each other? That means that we're going to be multiplying times 1/2. Bring down the division sign. Divided by x equals 3. So notice how everything that was up top, I brought down nice and neat, substituting in the values that they gave us for the variables. So now we have an expression. Now we're back to the order of operations lessons from before the mid-chapter. So now we're going to follow PEMDAS. We can do this. First step, parentheses. Are there any parentheses? Nope. Second step, exponents. Do we see an exponent? Yes, we do. Exponents, 8 to the second power. What is 8 to the second power? 8 to the second power means 8 times 8, which is 64. I'm going to bring down the rest of the expression. So we have 64 minus 12. Bring down the times 1/2 divided by 3. Okay, I took care of my exponents. Done. Next step, multiplication or division from left to right. Remember that means we were reading from left to right. So I see a subtraction, I see a multiplication, I see a division. What's our next step? What are we going to do? Next step, we're going to be multiplying 12 times 1/2. Okay, off to the side. 12 times 1/2. These both have to be fractions. What's 12 times 1/2? Well, my 12 can be divided by 2. That's 6. 2 divided by 2 once. Multiply straight across. 6 times 1 is 6 over 1. So 12 times 1/2 is 6. Bring down the rest of the problem that we have not yet crossed off. So we have 64 minus 6 divided by 3. So now let's look at what we have left here. We have subtraction and we have division. What's going to be next? Next step's going to be division. We still didn't finish our multiplication and division. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. Cross it off. Bring down the rest. And now we can finish it up. 64 minus 2 is 62.